What's going on, y'all? Super excited for tonight. Man, so Memorial Day, extended holiday weekend, but a lot has happened over the past few weeks. A lot of things to really discuss and break down. So, I want to highlight those things and talk about those things tonight. So, like I said, I'm super duper excited. We've seen certain stocks, take off. Nvidia, Meta, Microsoft, Apple. They're all propping up this rally, man, and that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. What's really to come, this summer, what's next. So hopefully y'all are ready, and let's go ahead and get into it. So let's start it.
That's 100.
All right, y'all. So we're gonna go ahead and get this party started, man. Like I said, hopefully everyone's been doing good tonight. It's been a holiday weekend, so that's always good. Hopefully everybody's been spending time with their family as well too. Um, you know, these times you gotta appreciate, the holidays when the families get together and the families come around. You gotta really appreciate those times. Life is so valuable, so precious. Something that you gotta really, like I said, really appreciate. So hopefully everybody's ready and we're gonna go ahead and get this party started. So, one of the things that I wanted to pretty much get us started with to talk about was what we seen. I'll be honest with you guys, what we seen from Nvidia, Meta platforms, Microsoft, Apple, like all these stocks right now are like propping up the rally. And if you've been tapping in here to the come up series, you've been tapping into, my lives, various of classes, like we were very particular in what we've been talking about, right? I feel like we've been very clear. Like when we take a look at the market this year, this was, like I said, really the time to kind of do it little by little, right? It's not going to be, like I said, it's not one of those where we're just like racing to the finish line, right? I think that's one of the things that I probably like stress the most is just like, building your position, building your base in these stocks, like I said, I think is super duper important. So when you're able to build your base into getting into a position, I think it makes it all but so easier, right? So I think what we've seen now, we've seen the market, like I said, it's rallied, to where it's at, and we're still nowhere near all-time highs, but I definitely think that you have to take those small wins, right? I seen someone talk about it, just in the chat there, like those little wins at a time, just kind of like piecing everything together. So, these like this year, people talked about like, oh, bear markets, bear markets, bear market, bear market, bear market, like it's the end of the world, right? When the reality is in a bear market, that's really your time to just start kicking things up a little bit, right? Where it's really your time to do a little bit of the extra stuff, right? And I think that's what you had to do. That's what you had to do this year was you really had to start doing some of the extra stuff, right? So all the little things, in my opinion, those things matter the most, right? You doing the little things, that stuff matters, like I said, entirely to me the most. So what we seen from the market this year um, is really just a testament of, in my opinion, of what's to come next, right? Like I'm looking at it and I'm saying, man, I think that, in my opinion, I think the markets can, only continue but to go higher, right? I think at this point, like I said, what we've seen here in the market, it's been beautiful, right? We saw literally one of the biggest, movements in that was in an after hour session, right? We saw Nvidia go up 25%. It's crazy, right? It's in the top five, biggest, at biggest, market cap gains in one day, right? It added $194 billion worth of market cap. So it's, $200 billion is just crazy, right? On the level. And it's not even $1 trillion company. It's knocking on the door, and it will be. Nvidia is going to 1 trillion, right? So and it's going to over 1 trillion and beyond, right? So I don't think it'll stop there. So I think, like I said, this year it's been one of those years you had to really, like I said, really be patient. Really be patient. So I think where we're at, going into this week, it's gonna really, June is here now, so we're 6 months through, right? So we're at that 6 month point in here in 2023. There's only 6 months left of 2023, right? Like, so look at the year, half of the year is already gone. And we've seen already, like I said, what's happened, particularly here with stocks like Nvidia, Meta, Microsoft, and Apple. So let's talk about it, right? So we talk about we're going to talk about Nvidia a little bit later on. The first stock that I want to talk about is Meta, right? I'm leading off with Meta because one of the things that I've personally been seeing from different tools that I use, one of those tools is Flow Algo. I've been seeing an intense amount of call option buying that's came in on Meta. Right now, my prediction for Meta is that Meta is going to see 300 by the end of the summer. Right, I think by the end of the summer, Meta is gonna be at least $300 a share. Right, and my prediction for Meta doing that is not just from the standpoint of what I'm seeing fundamentally, but also what I'm seeing technically. Right, Meta's been a true warrior. Right, when you take a look at Meta and see how far the stock has came down over the past couple of years, you've seen it went all the way to $88. The whole Meta was dead. You heard that a bunch. But I think when you take a look at their revenues and you take a look at what they've been able to accomplish as far as from a recovery standpoint, it's been magical. You don't hear a lot about Mark Zuckerberg right now. You're not hearing any negative press, any negative news, that's always a beautiful thing, right? When your CEO is able to avoid those headlines, right? I would say that Elon's caught the bare brunt of what Mark was going through, right? What Mark Zuckerberg was going through. Elon's caught pretty much the bare brunt of what was actually going through. So, I think, like I said, where we're here at right now, I think it's only the start. So for me, what I'm personally telling people is like, yo, like, it's the little things, in my opinion, that matter most right now. The little things, the little things, the little things. So Meta platforms, let's go ahead and share my screen. I'm gonna pull up Meta, and I'm gonna give you guys, actually had it their chart actually pulled up here right now. Let me go ahead and share my screen to show you guys. So my tips, right? My things that I would tell people to look at for Meta. I would tell you guys here right now, if you guys want to follow along here, I'm on the weekly, but I'm gonna go to the monthly time frame first. Right. So Meta, if you look since Tuesday, November 1st, that top of the month here in November, we've had now pretty much 8 consecutive months in a row. This will be the 8th consecutive month where Meta has had a positive print. Look at that. This is beautiful right here. Just a beautiful, price was able to rally out of this 88 level and literally has never looked back. Now I want to downgrade to the weekly time frame to show you guys exactly a little bit closer. All right. So last week, right, and actually particularly on Friday, and we'll zoom in a second. Particularly on Friday, Meta was able to have a weekly candle close above 256. Now, there was a lot of institutional order flow that was coming through my desk on Friday on Meta. I seen a large amount of call options being bought for October and December expiration dates. So I seen an influx just pretty much of volume and cash flow coming into Meta. And that translated to the stock being up significantly on Friday, right? Obviously, the markets were closed today. So we'll open up tomorrow and we'll get a better idea. Now, what I'm particularly talking about is here, right? So to give some backstory, the reason why this is so important is because this is just like Netflix. And I'll probably talk about Netflix a little bit later on in the show. But when I take a look here and, I'm looking here right now at Meta Platforms. Meta Platforms actually came down from 297 and it broke below this level. Like, this earnings report was just, when we talk about Nvidia, added $200 billion worth of market cap. Well, Facebook lost $200 billion worth of market cap here, right? And, this was a dramatic day for the stock and for the company. Took a spiral and a lot of adjustments really had to happen But now here we are, this is where Meta's dead, and we literally have watched Meta literally go from $88 back to 262, right? Just absolutely insane. So I get that, like our job here is to really talk about like what's next. Like I'm gonna get to Nvidia a little bit later on in the show and what's next for them. And you guys have heard the predictions that I gave. I told you guys these were spoilers, and it came true, right? Shout out to Mark Monroe. We've been talking about Nvidia, we've been talking about AMD, we've been talking about the entire semiconductor industry. And I talked about it being a semi-summer, right? A semi-summer, right? And that's exactly what happened. And the semiconductor industry said, yo, wait, we're not even going to wait till summer to take off. But when we take a look here at Meta, two things. Like it has to, at this point, it really has to fill this gap all the way back up here to 295, right? I just think it's just going to be a matter of time before price makes it back to 295. Isn't necessarily going to be a slingshot. More than likely, probably not. But this break above 262 with volume is really beautiful, right? From a structural standpoint. So currently right now, I'm currently in October expiration dates on Meta platforms. I'm currently long Meta, and I have been long Meta, particularly with these options, since about like 235, 237. So I believe that Meta platforms, like I said, is going to 300. The structural price break that we saw from a technical perspective, plus I believe all the things that will be added into this pot, for Meta, is, like I said, it's only going to get better, right? It's only going to get better over time for Meta. So where we're at right now, guys, like I said, I really believe that, Meta platforms still has continued upside. So, like I said, I'm looking at it from the standpoint that, Meta can continue to make its move higher. 300 over that, you're looking at probably next like 320. So, that's kind of where I'm at with Meta here right now. So, like I said, I'm long Meta. I'm currently in October expiration dates. Um, I believe that most of the tech sector is going to take off, right? And part of the reason why is we're seeing on these bigger time frames, the weekly and the monthly time frames, we're seeing big structural breaks, right? This monthly candle is about to, like I said, pretty much close above this significant resistance level. So where we're at, once obviously May is done with as of this week, the next 2 days, and we're on to June. So just to keep those notes, I think Meta Platforms is going to have a intense recovery this summer. And it's going to be one of the stocks that leads the market higher. So keep that note in mind. Now, Microsoft. Now, everyone's caught up on Nvidia, and I'm gonna save Nvidia for last because they deserve it. They're getting the championship. They deserve it. But boy, oh boy, when you take a look here right now at Microsoft, whoo, I have to take a sip of my water on this one because boy, let me just say this. You guys saw what Nvidia did, and it was beautiful. But don't sleep on Microsoft breaking above this 328. This is a major monthly level, right? Microsoft is going to break above an all-time high, right? It's just a matter of time. It's here. It's coming. Like I said, we've been talking about this. Like I went super, super heavy the past 2 months and just getting everybody just prepared for this next run. And this isn't to say that, like, the thing is that these monthly, like I said, these monthly time frames, they take time for the breakouts, right? And like when I take a look at this recovery, Microsoft right now here at 332, it just, like I said, it has nothing really in its way but the all-time high. It's just a matter of time. So I know that a lot of people seen what happened with Nvidia and like, yo. Once again, Nvidia is done and over with. Nvidia continue to move higher. And we're gonna, like I said, talk about that a little bit later in the show. But when you're looking at Microsoft, same thing. The same strategy, right? Like I'm in October and December calls on pretty much most of these positions that I'm talking about. And the reason why is because I believe that it's like this summer, just even from a technical standpoint, you could see it staring you in the face, right? That these weekly and monthly time frames, they are ready. ready to go, ready to run. And so Microsoft, same thing, run the play, run the play. You got to really, like I said, you got to really run the play. So where we're at here right now, I believe that we're going to make a move higher as well. I'm looking for us to hit an all-time high. And I think it's going to probably happen relatively quickly. At this point, we're $15, $16 away. Nvidia, the news that came out on Nvidia definitely was another catalyst that was able to push this stock higher as well too. So just keep that in mind. Like, keep that in the back of your mind. This stock was able to pretty much move higher. And like I said, this is something beautiful for us to see, and how price was able to break out. So I like where we're at. I like where we're going. Strikes that I would look at, I would definitely consider like I said, I would definitely consider for you guys to go ahead and get an in the money option. So if you're able to go ahead and get, in the money option, that I think that would definitely be beneficial for you. Like I said, I see I see pretty much where we're at now. So yeah, I would say an in the money option would probably be best. So for those people that are looking and thinking that this thing is going to continue to make an all-time high, I would agree with you. I expect price to rally, and we're $15 away. And when you're talking about Microsoft, I think Microsoft just has it in it, right? When you talk about AI, like the same thing that made Nvidia blast off is going to be the same thing that makes Microsoft blast off. Just wait for those next earnings. Wait for those next earnings. You're going to see another catalyst. So this continued the spark that Microsoft really already had. So yeah, that's where I'm noticing, and that's what I'm seeing here right now. So yeah, 349. And once again, another major part of our particular NASDAQ index that I believe is going to lead the way. Now, notice as I change, notice as I change my charts over, you really don't see no difference in anything that's happening right now. The QQQ, we hit 348.40, right? So we cleared the 340. On Friday, what I would say is we obliterated 340. On Friday, we obliterated 340. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. So, there was nothing that held this back at all. Once it cracked, like I said, 340, we obliterated it. But now we have some key levels here at 351 and 353, right? So 351 and 353 are really my next levels on the QQQ, right? 351 and 353. So where I see you guys at, two things, right? So when I'm looking here right now, I have 359 after that. So this is an old level that I have particularly for the Qs. So I would look out for that, for the 359 after that. Looking here, the NASDAQ index, has made its way and moved higher. Once again, the monthly time frames are flashing to you guys. This is a huge, buy setup. We've now been making higher highs and higher lows consistently, over the past 6 months, right? So we now been making higher highs and higher lows, which that is, like I said, something beautiful that we're seeing here right now. So we have to be grateful for that, for us to be able to see higher highs and higher lows after all of what we've seen. I mean, we got to, like I said, we got to be super grateful for that. So, and appreciative. So, for me, I'm looking at that and saying, I'm expecting, like I said, continue. The Qs are going to be able to push up. So there's a strong, there's a strong order flow you're seeing here, and there's a strong pattern that you're seeing, right? You're seeing, right now that the QQQ and is leading the way, for the market. Tech is really pushing and leading, whereas, last year the NASDAQ was the one that took the biggest hit out of all the indices. Right. But the NASDAQ is right now, showing you the strength and resilience. And that's kind of where we was kind of leading to in the beginning part of the year, of trying to get people to understand, last year, those smaller tech names really got hit hard as well, even some of the bigger techs. But there was a lot of rotating out of those names. And, money never truly leaves the market. Right. I always tell people that, money never truly leaves the market. It just goes to one area. Right. It may go to a different area, but it never is gone, right? It never is completely out of there. So there was a lot of cash that was sitting on the side as well too, because cash is a position. So we have to take into effect that there was a plethora of cash that was just sitting on the side. So what people think, well, man, how was 200 billion added just out of nowhere? What I'm telling people is like, yo, 200 billion was added, for what the main reason I would say 200 billion was added is because it's like this, right? At the end of the day, there's a lot of cash that was sitting on the sideline just waiting for an opportunity like this. So, where I see it pretty much going from here, y'all. Um, all time highs like is a stretch, right? You know, Obviously that's gonna happen one day. But what's next? Like what's to come this summer? Is like, yo, these stocks are all geared up to trying to lead the way. And doesn't mean that every week is gonna be green either. So understand that, right? But understand where price is heading to on these bigger monthly time frames. Where is price leading to? So QQQ, I think you have a target, and my target that I would say that I have set for the QQQ is going to be the QQQ. My QQQ target, I think this summer, I would say look for 380, 383. That's like my kind of like my point, my max point. So if someone had to ask me and say, hey, Lawrence, how high do you see the QQQ going? And I would answer them by saying, hey, the highest that I see it going is pretty much here what the highest I see it going is like 380, 383. So that would be my answer to someone who may pose that question to me and say, hey, how high do you see this particular stock going? And ETF, so that's what I expect in my opinion, right? That's what I believe is going to happen. So that's where we're at with this particular ticker. Now, what else do I foresee coming? I think that on the downside, if we were to break back below 330, you would probably see a pullback. You saw even last week that we pulled back a little bit, but that was just a pullback to go higher. So any pullback that you're seeing right now will just be a pullback to go higher because the market is consistently right now making higher highs and higher lows. So you have to, like I said, you have to keep that in mind, as someone who's a trader or an investor, that these pullbacks that are happening right now are only for the market to go higher. So, that's what I see with the QQQ. Now the T triple Q, and then we'll move on. Boy, oh boy, T triple Q is at $35. All I can say is, man, crazy, absolutely crazy. T triple Q was at like $16. And here at $32, that's 100% return. But obviously now being at 35, a little bit more. One thing that I would say is, looking at the T triple Q, understanding that it is a 3 times levered ETF. So, as the NASDAQ goes up, you're making 3 times the returns with the T triple Q. So where I'm seeing that is where we're seeing that play out right now is like, I'll be real with you, super beautiful because TQQQ all-time high is at 90. QQQ all-time high is at 408. So for us that got in at, like I said, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, sitting here at 34 is just absolutely beautiful. But there's still more work to do. For one, we need to crack 40. It looks like it's trying to definitely get up there and get to 40. 40 for the T triple Q would be equivalent to as well would be equivalent to about 363 on the NASDAQ. So keep that in mind on the regular QQQ. So you could correlate that there. Once we get above, that's where you'll probably start to see me plot some more levels, even to start taking a look at what's next, particularly with the QQQ after the T triple Q after that. But looking at this here right now, like I said, I think that after we get above, 40 was that August 15th peak. And you look at this sell-off here, you look back at it, August of last year, and like, yo, this thing hit 40 and just sold off. And that's why I said, like, at 16, 17, like, yo, those prices don't come around like that. And you have to, in my opinion, you have to really take advantage of like something like that. Like, um, you know, where, like I said, where you're taking a look, where I'm taking a look here at, where we're at, I'm like, yo, I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm just like, man, like this is just crazy, right? Just absolutely crazy, where we're at here right now. The TQQQ here at 35. The next levels after 40 would be 43.54 and 48.59 and then 56.23. So obviously none of these levels are going to happen overnight. So just keep that in mind, that what I'm saying right now is just kind of giving you like plot points and things to kind of like just pay attention to. So like I said, the TQQQ has been in one of those. I mean, it's been one of those top performers. It's very good for people that may not have a whole bunch of capital to be able to buy, hundreds or thousands of shares of the regular QQQ. You've been able to tap into the TQQQ and have gotten a great return. So yeah, that's what I see. Once again, all this stuff is pretty much aligned, and that's what you're going to kind of see, like I said, leading the way here. So those are some of the things that I wanted to highlight and talk about here on the charts perspective. And then we're going to go ahead and now get ready to hop back into let's see here. We're going to go ahead and hop back into now, let's start talking about, what actually happened with the video. Let's talk about AI. Let's really break this down. What's happening? And what you're seeing is you're seeing the world change. And one thing that I spoke about was you're never like, this world is not going to get to its point that it wants to be without semiconductors being involved, right? Smart cities, like everything that we might be seeing on television, I would say that 90% of it is probably going to become true, right? When we've seen these shows and they're showing futuristic type, cities, and they're showing all that stuff takes semiconductors. You think about electric vehicle cars, you think about, high-tech computers, you think about the continue of our phones, like even Broadcom, right? I know a lot of people don't show a lot of love to Broadcom, but they just inked another $1 billion deal with Apple. So it ain't just been Nvidia that's been eating. It's been all these semiconductors. AM Dizzle, right? Nvidia broke above. It smashed through its all-time high. Like, it didn't even think twice about it, right? It just went above its all-time high, and it's not even looking back. So this is like a demolition derby right now, where the semiconductors have put the block on notice that, yo, you can't go this world. Whatever you may think, whatever you may have thought, like, this world cannot do anything without semiconductors. It put the block literally on notice. Like, and that's where we're at with it. So, I'm looking at, I'm particularly looking here for those semiconductor stocks, even like an AMD. It's only a matter of time before it makes an all-time high too, right? But that's just from the stock perspective. But let's start thinking about, like, let's think a little bit deeper to the use cases of these chips, right? And the issues that's happening right now. Like, once again, last year there wasn't a demand issue, right? Now there is a demand issue, right? Where you're seeing just a lot of people just the continued demand. So you're having that issue, and that causes prices to go up, and these companies are able to charge a premium. Whereas last year, it's like, people weren't using semiconductors as much, right? Where there was a surplus on the market. So it's just like, you got to pay attention to a lot of times, with these semiconductors, this is a supply and demand game as well too. So, like I said, I think that's another thing that, like I said, that's super, super duper important. And where we're at now, I believe, like I said, I just believe where we're at now, these semiconductors, they got a long, long, long way to go ahead of them to upside. But I think the overall goal of this conversation is just really a reminder to people, like, don't sleep on, where we're at here right now. Don't sleep on, the time that you've been putting in, right? Don't sleep on the money that you've been putting in, right? Because you could look twice and you're like, yo, my money double. Probably one of the things that I've probably heard is just, I wish I put more. I wish I put more. Everyone always feels like that when, the market goes up, right, significantly, when it makes a 20% run on the index, or a stock goes up 50%, or hell, maybe Nvidia, we know it went up $194 billion in market cap after hours, and you feel like, well, maybe I should have put more. But the time to feel like you should be putting more, in my opinion, is when um is when the stock is falling. Like, I think a lot of times we want the rewards, but when the stocks are at, like, really, let's go through and ask ourselves, what was the sentiment when Nvidia was at 110? What was the sentiment? Like, the market is not even at an all-time high, but yet Nvidia is back to an all-time high, and it's literally hit 110 and never looked back, right? Like, what at this point, what are we going to say to ourselves? What are we saying to ourselves to help ourselves understand, like, the magnitude of these moments when we're getting them? Because these are really, what I would say, these are really some big time moments, right? Like, these are some big time moments that we're having, right? Where we're able to get these companies, like I said, at extreme discounts, right? This is like you can't sleep, man. Even right now, like, when people are not talking about Tesla, we didn't even get into them tonight. Notice Tesla's not even in this title, right? And that's purposeful, right? But these guys, Tesla was up 5% on Friday. It was up a maximum of 7%. I'm going to say this. This is the best time, once again, this is the best time to really go ahead and get into Tesla as well. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, y'all, like, Tesla is quiet. No one's talking about it. And it reminds me similar of, like I said, other stocks that we've paid attention to and watched. It's like, yo, when it comes time, when these stocks are quiet, that is the best time to invest in them. We've seen it over and over again. So when I can go a show for 30, almost 31, about 31, 32 minutes, right? And I hadn't even said the word Tesla, that is how you know it is time to buy, because it is quiet. There's no one talking about it. Elon, notice how he quietly stepped down from Twitter. Like, really pay attention. Tesla, all this Nvidia, cool. Nvidia's made his money. Microsoft is next up. I just told you that, and Meta. Microsoft and Meta are the next two that are up. They're geared and primed and ready to go. But don't for a second sleep on Apple, about to hit 3 trillion like it's not. And then don't sleep on Tesla, that's playing in the background, that's about to go crazy as well too. So I would say that my number one, if someone said, yo, what's the number one stock that you're buying right now? It's not Nvidia. I can tell you that. That was a while ago, right? That was, Nvidia was the number one stock that I'm buying right now is Tesla. It's too quiet, and I love it when it's quiet. And I like it when, not only love it, but I like it when it's quiet, because that means it's about to get to work. So I think that Tesla is gearing up for a huge run. It's going to happen. May not be it's entirely this summer, but June is one of the best performing months for Tesla. Just for you guys to have that note, June is typically one of the best performing months for Tesla. So I think June, as good as May was for Nvidia, June may sneak in, and Tesla may do better than all the stocks I talked about tonight, potentially, right? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as we go ahead and get ready to, wrap up this show. We're going to keep this pretty much brief here tonight, because there's not a lot that really needs to be said. Just a lot that in my opinion, just a few things that need to be reaffirmed. So, the market, where we're seeing it at right now, Nvidia, Meta, Microsoft, Apple, all of these stocks, like I said, they've led the way. But don't sleep on the outliers that's laying in the snow, just chilling, relaxing, ready to go, geared up. So we have a few stocks as well that actually are going to be reporting earnings here soon. Um, and I wanted to talk about a couple of these names. Ticker is CRM. They actually have earnings this week. It's 2 days from now. CRM is at 215. Gotta sip my water on that one. CRM was up 2% Friday. Cloud computing. A lot of people are talking about AI, which is great. Great. Where's a lot of this stuff needed to be stored? Salesforce is one ticker that we've talked about before. So pay attention to them. They have earnings in 2 days. Now, Uncle Charles, I know he'll appreciate this. I would also, as well as CRM reports, I would also as well pay attention to Snowflake, right? Currently at $150. My goal is to also not just take a look at the names that have already proven themselves, but the names that haven't, right? And Salesforce is one of those names that has improved. Snowflake is one of those names that haven't proven itself, right? So I like those names too, because I always think there's good opportunities in a name that's still on the up and up, trying to get there, right? It's still fighting strong, it's still ready to go. So I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to really highlight that for you guys as well. So ticker, CRM and Snowflake, I think those are two sleepers that are just, like I said, they're playing the background role as well too. You want to watch those names as well. Now, I know a lot of people have probably had trouble with this particular, ETF in the past, etc. But still, like, we like to buy things when they're quiet. And I'm gonna say this again: the ARK ETF, ARKK, the Innovation ARK ETF. We all know who's the runner over there, who's running that thing. Looking at this ARK ETF, it's $39 a share. All of its gains from the past 5 years are wiped out. So it's pretty much back to where it was at 5 years ago. What I'll say is that, this ARK ETF, unfortunately, it lacked Nvidia. Otherwise, the ARK ETF would be higher. So unfortunately, it did. I think when I look at it, though, I want to really talk about rates. And I think next week, it's going to be fitting to illustrate and really show, what's happening to these smaller companies, these startups, also as well, what we've seen happen with some of these smaller cap companies. The ARK ETF, I'll tell you guys, it's still, to me, in my opinion, one of the best ways, may not be the best, but one of the best ways to get exposure, right, actually into a particular overall industry, innovation industry, without having to go and pick those individual stocks. Now, do I believe innovation as a whole sector is going to succeed? I really do. The world is innovating right before our eyes. And certain companies, in my opinion, won't become winners until the next 5 to 10 years. Well, for me, if I'm an investor, we're not going to always be the best stock pickers, right? We may pick one of those stocks that's in the ARK ETF and they may fall completely apart. But if I want to bet on a whole sector, I would bet on the ARK ETF, right? I really like the ARK ETF, ARK. Once again, I would just get shares, and I would just continue to buy shares. It's $39.10 here right now. I think a few shares a week, I think it just to keep it simple, right? I think this is one of those, like, it has an all-time high at 160. Do I think it's going to get back to the all-time high anytime soon? Definitely not. Do I think it can happen one day? I do think it can. So I think you have nothing but time with this one. I don't think this one is taking off this year, and it may not take off next year either, right? But I think when we look back, when we look 5-10 years from now, preferably probably 10, I think that this will potentially still have some great returns from the standpoint that a lot of those innovation names that may be in there now, maybe some that may be added in the future. I think that, this is a one that I would be willing to maybe not have a bulk, but give it a chance because you're going to probably go and buy some of those names individually anyway, and they're probably going to flop. So why wouldn't I want to just buy the names as a collective and be able to, have those names as a collective in there, right? So I think that's, like I said, I think that's super important as well too. Just for, like I said, for me to highlight is just like doing those little things. I think a lot of times make it a lot easier. So if you didn't catch the video, don't put your head down and look at things negatively and say, "Oh man, I didn't get in the video. I'm the worst person in the world." Like, nah, don't look at yourself. Don't look at it like that. Like there's more opportunities than just what Nvidia have presented. We talked a lot about the different opportunities. So Meta and Microsoft, October and December expiration dates on call options. Right now, currently, that's what I'm in. I believe Meta and Microsoft are going I believe Microsoft's going to make all-time highs, going to slash through it and do the dash. I believe Meta, like I said before, has that gap to 300. Please pay attention. So yeah, I think it's just about really just taking action. And once again, don't really worry so much about trying to do everything, right? I think sometimes we get caught up in that where we're like, yo, I need to do everything. When the reality is you just need to do the little things. If you take care of the little things, the big things will take care of themselves. So Microsoft, new all-time high. Spoiler, not a prediction. Meta Platforms 295. Spoiler, not a prediction. When you're taking a look here, AMD, guys, I personally will watch 134, and then after that, I would watch 139. Um, Nvidia, I mean, it's already at all-time high, guys. I mean, guys, it did everything we thought it would do this summer. It did it in a day. So it's just one of those things where it's just like, hey, it's already done it. And I think the QQQ, like I said, my highest point that I think the Qs will go this summer, I think it's like 380, 388. Has some levels to get through here in the 350 range, and then it's going to go to 363. The TQQQ, $40 is equivalent to 363 on the regular QQQ. So the TQQQ and the QQQ obviously are aligned. So keep those numbers just in the back of your head, and write them down as well. So we've seen, like I said, we've seen what's pretty much transpired and happened. So the market it's on its way up. It's on its way up. And just be mindful, like I said, these pullbacks that are going to happen, they'll be brief. So don't think that every day is going to be a green day. Don't think that every day is going to be like Friday where you're seeing all the stocks go up 7%. It's just not going to happen. But understand that those pullbacks will be leading the market to move higher and push higher. So, that's what I wanted to pretty much discuss with you guys tonight. Hopefully everybody had a great holiday weekend. And y'all, man, next week we're having a showdown. We're talking, rates. Tiara will be back in the house. So she'll be here. We'll get a job report update from her. But June has a lot in store. The city of Memphis, I'm graced and pleasure to come to you guys June 16th and June 17th. So excited for that. I know some people will be down here connecting with me in Atlanta this month as well too. So like I said, I think it's a great summer that's brewing. A lot of things in the pipeline, like I said, that's happening. So yeah, these are the stocks that are propping up the rally. And I would stress this before I get off tonight. The ARC ETF. I really think from an exposure standpoint, like we're gonna go and buy those frivolous companies and those companies that are in the growth space anyway. We're probably gonna nickel and dabble in a couple and probably give a couple of them a chance individually. I would rather just go ahead and give and do it collectively. Take away some of the inherent risk that we take by sometimes getting involved in some of those things from a singular standpoint. So, that's where we're at. Like I said, I appreciate you guys' time here tonight. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully everyone, has, been great and been well. Super, like I said, super duper excited for, what's to come here next. So yeah, man, I appreciate you guys who, have came in and really shared, how, the come up series has really helped you, or really shared how I've helped you along your journey. That's what we're here for. So, appreciate all the comments in the chat. Appreciate you guys being here tonight. Appreciate y'all time. And yeah, so looking forward to to what comes next here. Yeah, so want to say thank you to the entire Come Up Series family. This was another episode of Monday Night Tape, and you never know. I was having some conversations, and I was like, I can't share that. You guys got to tune in the next Monday, but I will be in July. I am going to do a Monday Night Take episode in person. So comment your city below where you guys think that Monday Night Take episode should be, right? I want to do a Monday Night Take episode in person in July. June's already booked up for me now. So in July, I want you to comment your city. Where would you guys like to see this show brought to for Monday Night Take? Drop your city and comment your city below. We're going to do a live Monday Night Take episode in July. And we're gonna schedule it out. So yeah, like I said, I'm excited to do that. I think it's gonna be amazing. So comment your city below, and once this video is posted, comment it below as well too. And next week, I'll announce what city I will be doing that. What city and what Monday I'll be doing that Monday Night Take episode. I see we got some Canadian flags in here. Maybe, maybe we cross the borders, man. Maybe we take this show international. Who knows? I'm seeing Charlotte. I'm seeing Dallas. I see a few Dallas. Y'all know my co-host, she lives in Dallas. So, you never know. Philadelphia, NJ, New Jersey, man. So New York City, NYC. You never know. You never know what city we could be in. So I'm excited. Like I said, everyone will be in New Orleans, Manhattan, DFW, Boston. Okay. So we're going to take that in. We'll take that feedback. Appreciate y'all time tonight. And we will see you guys next week at 8:30 p.m. EST. Monday Night Take. Let's go Heat. They cooking them Celtics. We'll see y'all in Miami. You never know. All right, y'all. Peace.